And tomorrow, I'm going to be traveling to Portland. Mike Newcomb and Shane and Danielle are going to be filling in for me. And so today, Senator Sanders was kind enough to say he would come in a day early from the Senate recording studio. So today, we're going to do Brunch with Bernie on Thursday, an hour early, or a day early, rather. But this is Thursday, and we are live with Senator Sanders. Senator Sanders, welcome.
Great to be with you, Tom.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your altering your schedule. A lot going on. The House, instead of passing long-term unemployment insurance or the comprehensive immigration reform, both of which you guys in the Senate have sent to them, chose instead to sue the president. I'm curious your thoughts on that and everything else that's going on.
Well, there's a lot that's going on. Look, I think all of our listeners know that this moment in American history is one of the most difficult in the modern history of our country. People understand that real unemployment is not 6.1%, it's closer to 12%. Youth unemployment close to 20%, African American youth unemployment off the charts. People know that the middle class is disappearing. People know that we are looking at a very dangerous level of income and wealth inequality, which is unsustainable to my mind. People understand that big money now, through Citizens United, is able to buy elections and destroy the foundations of American democracy. People understand that the scientific community is telling us that if we don't transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, we're going to see devastating problems as a result of global warming in terms of droughts and floods and extreme weather disturbances and rising sea levels. That's what people understand the reality is. And what goes on in the Republican House of Representatives? Are they addressing any of these issues? Are they coming close to talking about any of the important problems facing working families or the middle class? And you mentioned just two of many. I mean, the absolute need to raise the minimum wage. Here in the Senate, we're fighting for not something that is as good as I would want to see, but at least it's $10.10 an hour as opposed to the $7.25 national minimum wage that we have right now. We voted here in the Senate to extend long-term unemployment, helping people who are absolutely desperate in terms of no income coming in, not having been able to find jobs for a long period of time. And what the Republicans in the House are doing is continuing their do-nothing efforts, and instead of addressing real problems, they're playing political games. Some of them, I suppose, want to impeach the president. Some of them, I guess they voted now to sue the president. And his crime is that at a time when on issue after issue, the Republicans are doing nothing, or when they do something, what they're doing is not what the American people want, but in fact fight for more tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires and a variety of other efforts that benefit the top 1%. And then they get upset because the president wants to use his authority under executive order to begin to do this, that, or the other thing. And by the way, everybody understands that executive orders are no replacement, no substitute for legislation. They are minimal in what you can do, and they are repealable by the next president. So it is just astounding to me that the Republican Party continues to turn its back on ordinary Americans, and I hope that people recognize what's going on. Now, there is one good thing that I do want to say, is that the Republicans have just yesterday, not Republicans, but almost a unanimous vote in the House yesterday, passed a very important piece of legislation that Congressman Jeff Miller, chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and I, who are chairman of the Senate Veterans Committee, have worked on, and that is a significant piece of legislation that will help millions and millions of veterans. And it turns out that in a Congress where very little is happening, this may end up being one of the important pieces of legislation passed in the last several years. And what this bill does, Tom, is it addresses the problem of long waiting lines at a number of VA facilities around the country. It puts $5 billion into the VA so that they'll be able to get the doctors and the nurses and the other healthcare professionals that they need in order to provide quality healthcare to our veterans in a timely manner. It provides $1.5 billion to construct 27 major medical facilities around the country. It also addresses a number of other issues such as sexual assault and the ability of the VA to be able to provide better care to those women and men who were sexually assaulted in the military. It makes sure that all veterans who are eligible for the post-9/11 GI Bill can get in-state tuition. It extends a program that was about to expire for veterans in traumatic brain injury housing programs, and it also makes sure that widows of soldiers lost in Iraq and Afghanistan will in fact be able to take advantage of the post-9/11 educational bill, be able to get their lives moving forward by getting the education that they would like. So that passed the House yesterday. I expect that it will pass the Senate either today or tomorrow, and it is a good step forward for veterans, and I'm proud that at least in a dysfunctional Congress, we were able to do that. Yesterday, Tom, I testified before the EPA where they were taking comments regarding the EPA proposal to limit carbon emissions from coal-burning power plants. In my view, and in the view of the scientific community, we have got to go forward boldly in cutting carbon emissions, reversing global warming, and transforming our energy system. The President's proposal adopted by the EPA is a good step forward. It will limit carbon emissions coming from power plants, giving states the flexibility to figure out how they could do it best, but it is an important step forward given the fact that Congress has done virtually nothing to address what the scientific community considers the major planetary crisis. We're doing nothing. So the President's proposal to limit carbon emissions from coal-burning power plants is a step forward. Another issue that is out there that we're going to be working on in the next couple of months has to do with the profoundly important issue of money in politics. I have helped work with people like Senator Tom Udall, Senator Pat Leahy, and others to put together a constitutional amendment which will, as I understand it, be on the floor of the Senate in September, which will essentially overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And we need to involve millions and millions of people in support of this effort. Because if we do not overturn Citizens United, then billionaires like the Koch brothers, Sheldon Adelson, and others will be able to continue to spend unlimited sums of money in the political process, supporting candidates whose main function in life is to make the richest people in this country richer and to ignore the needs of working families. So addressing Citizens United, addressing the issue of getting big money out of politics is a huge issue. If you're concerned about health care, education, the economy, climate change, whatever you're interested in, we're going to have to deal with this issue of money in politics first and foremost before we can address these other issues effectively.
Senator Bernie Sanders here on Thursday with our Brunch with Bernie for the week. He'll be taking your calls right after this break in our national town hall meeting. We'll be back with more of Senator Sanders right after this.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And be sure to check out Bernie's website, sanders.senate.gov. You can also easily track him down on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Bernie, ready to take some calls?
Let's do it.
Okay, Ruth in Kelso, Washington, you are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, I was wanting to know, first, I love you, Bernie. You work so hard. You're so smart. Just hang in there and keep trying. We're behind you.
Thank you.
What I'd like to know is if the president, instead of executive orders to deal with some of these really difficult situations we have, if he could make Congress come back to work and stay there until they do something and come up with solutions for some of these problems.
Well, Ruth, that is a very good question. We have right now what many political scientists consider to be the least effective Congress in the history of the United States of America, or in the modern history at least. Huge problems out there. Congress is doing nothing. And Ruth is suggesting that maybe the president do what Harry Truman did, I guess, back in 1948, I think, Tom. He said, hey, you Republicans aren't doing anything. We're going to bring you back and see if we can get something done.
Yeah, the Constitution provides for it in a time of
course
crisis.
it does. Yeah, well, in my view, this country faces a lot of crises. We are fighting for the future of America. We're fighting for the survival of the middle class of this country. We are fighting to save the planet. I can think of about a dozen crises out there that would allow the president to call us back into action. So Ruth raises an interesting idea.
Nelson in Remmer, Tennessee, watching Free Speech TV. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, Senator Sanders. With the job bills that have been created in Congress, I'm sure there have been some incentive. I've seen firsthand how people in technical schools have had to drop out due to the lack of gas. Now, with these job bills and the training, is there anything in there to help the people with their gasoline problems to get there?
Okay, good question, Nelson. Well, let me just touch on the 2 points you raised. Nelson raises a very fundamental issue that I think a lot of people don't think about. Most Americans fill up their gas tanks in their car and they go to work. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people in America, especially when gas is $3.60, $3.70 a gallon, can't afford to fill up their gas tank and get to work. So Nelson says that we've got to remember that when we deal about jobs program and the problems facing the unemployed. And he's exactly right. I won't go into the whole issue of why gas prices are as high as they are, Nelson, and what some of us are trying to do with it. I mean, it has to do with the greed, obviously, of the oil companies like ExxonMobil, who make huge profits. It has to do with Wall Street speculation on the oil futures market, which substantially drive up oil prices above where they should be if we just looked at supply and demand. And those are some of the reasons why people are paying much more for a gallon of gas today than they should be paying. But the second issue that Nelson touches on is jobs. You know, and at the end of the day, Tom, if you ask people what their major concern is, they will tell you it is the economy and jobs. And let's get back to that after the break.
Yeah, it's sort of the old Clinton. It's the Obama, the economy stupid thing. We're talking with Senator Bernie Sanders. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, a day early here on Thursday. We'll be back with more of your questions for Senator Sanders right after this. Be sure to check out his website at sanders.senate.gov, at Twitter at Senator Sanders, and on Facebook you can easily track him down. We'll be right back. Take it back to mainstream media, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Senator Bernie Sanders with us. Brunch with Bernie, a day early. Senator, did you want to finish a thought here before we pick up another call?
I did want to say an additional word on jobs and the economy. The good news is the economy is a heck of a lot better shape today than it was when Bush left office and we were losing some 700,000 jobs a month. The bad news is that many of the new jobs being created are low-wage jobs, and they are part-time jobs. And despite the reasonably good economic growth we have seen in the last few months, almost all of the new income created, Tom, is going to the top 1%. Since the Wall Street crash of 2008, 95% of all new income went to the top 1%. So you have millions of people who are working longer hours for lower wages. You have older workers who have lost decent paying jobs, have new jobs that are paying them half what they used to earn. So our job is now is not only to create millions of new jobs, but to do everything we can to make sure that they're decent paying jobs. One way we do that is raise the minimum wage to at least $10.10 an hour.
Mike, in Whitefish, Montana, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman, and thank you, Senator Sanders, for taking my call. Senator, I called in, it must be 9 months ago when the Farm Bill debate was going on. At that time, you told me on the telephone that you would sponsor the amendment to put GMO labeling on the Senate floor. You did. My senior senator from Montana supported you. I thank you so much for doing that. I also thank you, and I'm truly amazed that it takes an independent like yourself to help reform the VA system. It's an enormously big deal for rural states like Montana, where the distance from one end of the state to the other end of the state is greater in distance than from Chicago to Washington, D.C. My question really comes down to, Senator, is how do I get you to Montana? You have an open invite to come to my farm anytime you wish.
Okay, Mike, thank you so much. Turns out my daughter graduated from the University of Montana a number of years ago in Missoula. I was up there. It is an extraordinarily beautiful state. My state of Vermont, we are a beautiful state, but Montana is spectacular. So you don't have to urge me too hard. John Testa is a good friend of mine. John is the senior senator from Montana. He is an organic farmer, and I've told John that I look forward to coming to your great state. So, Mike, you're going to see me in Montana sooner or later, hopefully sooner.
Anytime you're on the road, Senator, let us know, and we'll mention your itinerary here on the program.
Okay, so, that would be great.
Glenn in Aurora, Illinois, you are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hey, Tom. Good morning. Good afternoon, Senator. I just want to get your opinion, Bernie, on Senator Ted Cruz, who seems to just keep reoccurring with some of the House, the congressmen, and keeps riling them up, you know. He's more of a leader in the House than John Boehner. And I think that's really sad that he's driving the legislation, especially on this immigration crisis. And I really think it's sad he's making demands on exactly what the president wanted. The president wanted this amount of money. The money has been reduced, and now he's making more demands. I just want your feedback, please.
Well, you know, Senator Cruz you're absolutely right. He is playing an active role as a leader of the extreme right wing of the Tea Party, and he is influencing members of the House and coordinating activities with them. I would tell you, Glenn, that one of the issues that interests me, and I think we have got to focus a lot of attention on, is to tell, you know, many of the working class people involved in the Tea Party are angry, and they're angry for the right reasons. They are angry because they perceive the middle class in decline. They perceive the people on top doing phenomenally well. They perceive their kids likely having a lower standard of living than they do. They perceive correctly their jobs going to China and to Mexico. The problem is that Cruz and others have been able to harness this anger, tap this anger, and focus it in the wrong directions. The average Tea Party person does not believe you should end Social Security or cut Social Security or end or cut Medicare, make massive cuts in Medicaid. They want their kids to be able to go to college. So I think we have got to reach out in a straightforward way to many of these working class Tea Party people and explain to them that the funding for that effort originally came from the Koch brothers, whose agenda is diametrically opposed to their needs and what, in fact, they want to see. So there's a lot of education and organizational work that has to be done. But I think, at least for some of these Tea Party people, I think we can turn them around, and I think that is what we should be focusing on.
Greg in Lineville, Alabama. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, Senator Sanders. My question is in reference to the Medicaid state reimbursement. It's my understanding that the federal government requires the state of Alabama to seek reimbursement for any money that they spend on Medicaid recipients after the age of 55. Can you explain that a little bit? And is there anything that we could do to change that?
And we have about 45 seconds, Bernie.
Greg, are you referring to people who have deceased?
No, I think he's referring to if you're over 55 and under 65, so you're on Medicaid instead of Medicare, and you go into nursing care, when you die, your family has to pay that money back to the government.
Right, that's what I was referring to, right, after somebody dies. I think, Greg, it is an issue that we need a lot more study on. I mean, I think the goal would be that if a family had a whole lot of money, that the federal government would be entitled to get some help in paying back its cost to that lower-income individual.
Okay. We'll be right back. It's Senator Bernie Sanders, Brunch with Bernie, a day early here on Thursday. We'll be back with your calls for the senator right after this. Be sure to check out Bernie's website over at sanders.senate.gov. You can sign up for the Bernie Buzz. It's a free email newsletter, comes out periodically. It's always got great content.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Plus, Sanders.Senate.gov has turned into a great news site on its own. And Bernie's Facebook page and his Twitter, Senator Sanders, are quite active. Get over there. It's the place where we dare to ask, is Walmart, well, for that matter, is Hobby Lobby, a person? And we dare to say no. It's the Thom Hartmann Program. And today, a day early, we're doing Brunch with Bernie on this first hour Thursday. And Senator Sanders taking your calls. Senator, you're there?
I am right here, Tom.
All right, let's pick up some calls here. Jimmy in National City, California, you're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to ask the senator about the speculation with the hedge fund managers on oil. I know you had said something about that, and I just want to hear, is there going to be some legislation brought up on that? And have a great day, gentlemen.
Yeah, we have introduced legislation on that, Jimmy, which has a significant number of co-sponsors. And here's what the story is. I think when most people go to fill up their gas tank, they assume that the price they're paying has something to do with supply and demand, that when supply is down and demand is up, prices go up, and when there's a whole lot of supply and limited amount of demand, prices go down. Well, the truth is right now there is more supply and less demand now than there was several years ago, but prices have gone up very, very significantly. And the reason for that has a lot to do, not totally, but has a lot to do with the fact that the oil futures market is not controlled, and this surprises many people, it is not controlled by people who actually use oil, like trucking companies or airlines or fuel dealers. It is controlled by Wall Street speculation. Some 80% of the market is controlled by Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and other people whose only function there is to make a profit, to drive prices artificially high. So what we have done is introduce legislation which would limit the amount that any of the entities could own. So you will not have the kind of enormous control over the oil futures market that it currently exists by a handful of Wall Street speculators.
Rich in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Well, privilege to talk to you, Senator. I was wondering if a new trade deal comes up for Central America because of all the kids coming across the border, would you oppose that?
Rich, I don't know that a trade deal has much to do with the kids in Central America, kids coming to our border. I have opposed virtually every trade deal that has come across my desk since I have been in Congress, and I was elected in 1990. And the reason for that is most of these trade agreements are pushed by corporate America. They have the goal of allowing corporations to shut down plants in this country, move abroad, pay people very low wages, and bring their products back in this country. And the result of that is in the last 15 or so years, we've lost over 50,000 factories in the United States of America and millions of good-paying jobs. So I think we've got to work with our friends in Central America to address their problems of poverty, address their problems of incredible gang violence and drug addiction and the flow of drugs. But I am opposed to trade policies which lead American workers into a race to the bottom. So that's my view on trade.
Paul in South Lyon, Michigan. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yeah, Senator. I know it's good that the do-nothing Republicans finally did something to help veterans instead of just attacking the president. But how much did the Republicans force you to cut back on the spending that was needed to give veterans everything they needed in order to reach a compromise with the Republicans on the veterans bill?
Well, Paul, that's a good question. The bill that was passed yesterday in the House, and I hope and expect will be passed today in the Senate, is not the bill that I wanted. I think the key reason as to why we have long waiting periods for veterans in many parts of the country, not all parts, but in many parts of the country, has everything to do with the fact that there are not enough doctors, nurses, other medical personnel. Many facilities do not have the space they need to accommodate the significant influx of veterans that we have seen since the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan started. In the last 5 years, about 2 million new veterans have come into the VA. That's a whole lot. A net gain of 1.5 million. And I do not believe that we have the infrastructure in the VA to adequately accommodate those veterans. So what I proposed was substantially more funding to give the VA the ability to rebuild. We didn't get that. But what I will tell you is that I think for the first year, the VA will have $5 billion to bring in new doctors and nurses, et cetera. And I don't know that they could spend much more than that in the first year. So we're going to have to take a look at this bill in a year and a half to see what additional needs the VA has. So no, I did not get by any means all that I wanted, nor did the Republicans. But the other thing that we did get, Paul, and this is an important point, what the Republicans always say is, well, if you want to spend more money on X, you're going to have to cut Y. You want to spend money on infrastructure, you're going to have to cut the needs of children or food stamps. That did not happen in this bill. The principle that we established early on in this legislation is that taking care of veterans is, in fact, a cost of war. Tanks and guns and planes and missiles are a cost of war. Taking care of the people who do battle with those weapons is a cost of war. So we won, I think, that fight. I think the American people are solidly behind us in understanding that taking care of those people who have been hurt in war, who have suffered in war, is something we have a moral responsibility to do. So no, I did not get everything I wanted, but I was happy to support the compromise that came out.
David in Phoenix, Arizona. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yeah, Senator Sanders, it's a privilege to be talking to you. Basically, you're the only politician that is pushing hard on opposing the oligarchy and the oligarchic enablers, which I call the Republicans. This is, I think, the best and simplest way of getting our message across with the least amount of money, because basically the Republicans get the people out to vote because of fear and anger. What if maybe we were able to get this idea across to people that this is something to actually be afraid of, and that it's important for us to get out and vote because this is a tremendous problem. And you know, the thing is, what happens on the national level really it affects like little local elections, like right here in Arizona. For example, there's signs that say, vote for this person for the local House of Representatives because he'll secure the border, or vote for this person because they won't raise their taxes like Obama did. So what I'm trying to say is, how can we use this national idea on the local level and get out there and really pitch this in a real simple way to get people out to vote?
Use the oligarchy frame.
Yeah. Well, I think the oligarchy, I don't call it a frame. I think it's a reality, Tom.
Yeah.
You know, it is, here's what you got. And let me lay it right out there. You got families like the Koch brothers who are worth, Koch brothers are worth $80 billion, $80 billion, second wealthiest family in America. They are spending unlimited sums of money trying to elect candidates who will make the rich even richer. Their long-term goal, and they stated it, I mean, it's out there. In 1980, David Koch ran for vice president of the United States from the Libertarian Party. Eliminate, not cut Social Security, eliminate Social Security, eliminate Medicare, eliminate Medicaid, do away with virtually all federal programs that help working families and low-income families, and more tax breaks for the very wealthiest people and the largest corporations. That, in a nutshell, is what their agenda is. And what you're seeing today is that fewer and fewer people control the economy. The power of Wall Street is extraordinary. And then now, politically, as a result of Citizens United, the billionaire class can spend as much as they want on elections. So when you have a situation where a small number of billionaires control the economy, when a small number of billionaires can control our political system and elect candidates who will make them even wealthier, you add that together, and that is called oligarchy. That's what David is talking about. And that is the most serious problem facing this country. Do we forsake the democratic foundations of America, where everybody had a vote, where everybody was eligible to vote, had a vote, and elections were won by ideas, rather than elections being won by candidates who have the backing of billionaires? Is that what the future of American politics is about? Is American politics a handful of corporations controlling our economy? Or do small businesses have an opportunity to make some money as well? That is, to me, the most important issue facing the future of this country. And I think David's point is quite right. We should be focusing on that. And I think we have the overwhelming majority of the American people behind us on that.
Just a minute to the break. Jody in Lexington, Kentucky. Got a quick question for Senator Sanders?
Yes, I do. Senator, thank you very much. I'm a Vietnam-era veteran. You are our champion, buddy. The thing that I want to ask is about the possible elimination of the legal status of part-time as opposed to full-time, because I believe that having part-time employment out there encourages employers to only hire people part-time so that they don't have to pay full-time benefits.
Right. Well, Jody, I don't know that you can. I mean, there are a lot of people. Your basic point is absolutely correct. There is a trend going on in the economy which says, instead of giving you 40 hours a week with decent benefits, I'm going to hire you for 29 hours a week and not give you benefits at all. That is a very onerous and dangerous trend, and we're seeing more and more of that.
What if we just drop that threshold to 20 hours or 15 hours?
Well, something, I don't know the implications of that, but something we can look at. But this part-time, employers hiring people part-time, very significant problem.
It's a lousy business model. We'll be back with your questions and Senator Sanders' answers right after this. It's 15 minutes before the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And be sure to check out Bernie's website, sanders.senate.gov. He's also got a significant presence on Facebook, and you can tweet him at Senator Sanders. And welcome back. Gus in Woodville, Texas, watching Free Speech TV on the Dish Satellite Network. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for putting me on here. I've observed that job creators love loopholes and tax deductions. They may love those even more than they hate taxes. So I'm wondering why not eliminate the cap on Social Security tax and make all income subject to that tax, but on amounts over the present cap, make that deductible as a charitable contribution. That's about it.
We have introduced legislation dealing with Social Security that, in fact, does lift the cap. Just want to say a few words, and I thank Gus for the question, because the issue of Social Security is on a whole lot of people's minds, not just older people, but people who will be eligible for Social Security in a few years. Bottom line is, Social Security is not going broke. It's not. Social Security has not contributed a nickel to the deficit because it's paid for by the payroll tax. And we had to fight like crazy over the last several years to beat back a massive effort on the part of the Republicans, on the part of a lot of corporate interest who wanted to cut Social Security very significantly. I think we won that fight, at least for the moment, and now the issue is, how do we expand Social Security? Because you got a whole lot of people on Social Security today who are not making it on $12,000 or $13,000 a year. Gus's idea about lifting the cap is exactly right. Right now, if you make $10 million a year, you're contributing the same into the Social Security Trust Fund as somebody making $117,000. What my legislation would do is start at $250,000. Wouldn't raise your taxes up to that. But after $250,000, we would raise the cap. If you do that, we would have enough money coming into the Social Security Trust Fund so that we could expand Social Security for dozens of years, extend Social Security for dozens of years, and also have enough money to expand benefits. And that's what we are fighting for, both extend and expand, and you do that by lifting the cap.
Jesse in Miami, Florida, watching Free Speech TV on the Dish Network. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi,
1 minute,
Bernie,
Jesse.
Thom. Hey, this is an important question. You remember the Founding Fathers, the King of England thought democracy, Founding Fathers, was too stupid to vote. Now we got modern-day kings who think we're too stupid to invest. Bernie, could you run on a platform ending poverty, ending all wars, fixing climate change by nationalizing or making the Federal Reserve 100% control? Thank you.
Well, Jesse, the Federal Reserve is a complicated issue. Do I believe in abolishing the Federal Reserve? No. But do I believe in significant reform of the Federal Reserve and making it a much more democratic and accountable institution? Yes, I do. During the Dodd-Frank debate, we got an amendment that I authored, became the first amendment to audit the Fed in American history during the period of the financial crisis, and we learned a lot from that. So yes, Federal Reserve is a very important issue that we need to focus a lot more attention on.
More of Senator Sanders in just a moment. Stick around. We'll be right back. It's 10 minutes before the hour. Sanders.senate.gov. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, a day early Thursday. Senator Sanders taking your calls. John in Kenosha, Wisconsin. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Senator Sanders. I have great respect for both of you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say that I wholeheartedly agree that basically the only way to save the republic at this point is to get the money out of politics. Urging everybody I know to shelve the kind of other issues for now until we can do that. But my question is, does your proposed amendment mandate public financing of campaigns? And I would also like to suggest that everybody get the day off on Election Day.
Good.
All non-emergency workers.
On the latter point, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, in a democracy, the day we have elections is extremely important. People need the time to get out of work. And we have to not only do that, we have to do everything that we can, whether it's postcard mailing in postcards, whether it is extending voter hours, whether it is making it easier for people to register to vote. The goal of a democracy is to have as many people participate in it as possible. Sadly, many of our Republican friends who understand, a whole lot of folks are not sympathetic to their ideology. They are trying to do everything that they can to make it harder for people to participate in the political process. That is an outrage and is a very cowardly action, I would say. In terms of the constitutional amendment, I am strongly supportive of public funding of elections. And this constitutional amendment certainly will allow for public funding of elections. It does not, quote unquote, John, mandate it, but it would allow for that. But right now, the main focus that we have is to overturn Citizens United, to make it clear that corporations are not people, to make it clear that we do not want to see billionaires buy elections and have the right to spend unlimited sums of money. I would hope very much that when this bill gets to the floor of the Senate, probably in September, that there will be millions and millions of people putting pressure on their elected officials to support this enormously important amendment. Right now, as I recall, there are about 16 states that have already gone on record in supporting a constitutional amendment overturning Citizens United. There are many hundreds of cities. We have to continue that grassroots effort and put pressure on Congress to do the right thing on this life and death issue.
Dave in Palm Bay, Florida. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hey, Senator Sanders, what an honor to be on with you. I'm an independent candidate for District 53. My name is David Kearns. I'm running against an incumbent who's an entrenched incumbent. He's just loaded up with corporate money, big wealth, big insurance. He wants to get rid of Obamacare. And you know, I'm facing a situation where my wife and I did this all ourselves, and we are sick of this. We rolled up our sleeves. What do I do? Bernie, help me. You know, what's my move? I'm barely.
Well, David, you're running for what? The state legislature in Florida?
Yeah, the state house.
Okay. Well, I tell you what you do. I mean, you got to run. And again, I don't know you, and I don't know your politics and so forth. But what any grassroots candidate has got to do, if you don't have a lot of money, you got to get volunteers. You got to knock on doors. You've got to talk to people. You have to distribute literature. Look, when you're running at a local level, face-to-face contact is the most important thing that you can do. When I first was elected mayor of Burlington way back when, I think I knocked on half the doors in the city, and you talk to people. And that is the most effective way to win a local election. Money matters, no question about it. But personal contact and door-to-door discussions are even more important.
Dennis in San Diego, California. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. Pleasure having the opportunity to speak with you. My question is, why don't the Democrats stay in town and show the American people that they're about business and just stay in Washington, D.C.? And I do believe that will send a strong message coming this November. And if the Republicans want to hightail it out of town, let them hightail it out of town. But you will send a strong message to the American people about who's about business and who's about pleasure.
Well, I think, Dennis, that is a good idea. I think it's not going to happen now, but I think come September, I think you may find members of Congress being forced to stay here 7 days a week in order to address the issues like minimum wage, like pay equity, like the high cost of college education, like climate change, like the need for a jobs program. So I think, Dennis, your point is a good one. There are enormous issues that have got to be addressed. That is what the American people want. That is what we have to do.
And yet the Republicans are so committed to, denying Obama a legacy or any kind of success.
It's not legacy. This is nothing personal with Obama, not legacy. The issue is, Tom, to my mind, so clear that if you just put yourself in a Republican's mindset, if you're there to protect millionaires and billionaires and large corporations, what is your agenda? And what your agenda is not to pass a jobs program. It's not to rebuild the infrastructure. It's not to raise the minimum wage. It is to do nothing that offends your campaign contributors and the big money interest. And that is what they have done from the day that Obama was elected, and has had devastating impacts on this country. We have made, let's not forget where we were when Bush left office. 700,000 people a month losing their jobs, financial system in America and in the world on the verge of collapse, deficit off the charts. We have made progress, but we haven't made anywhere near the progress we need for working families, and I would say that has everything to do with the obstructionism of the Republican Party in the House and in the Senate.
Senator, 1 minute to the end of the show. Final thoughts?
Yeah, last point that I want to make, Tom, and I think one of the callers raised it. If we don't get involved in the political process, if people do not come out and vote, a difficult situation will only become worse. So let's get involved politically, let's educate, and let's organize. Let's do everything we can to save the middle class of this country.
Senator Bernie Sanders. Thanks so much, Senator.
Tom, thank you.
Always great having you with us.